This is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Aileen Wuornos because she'll kill again.
Netflix's new documentary on Aileen Wuornos has once again reignited the question: how does someone become capable of such horrifying crimes? Most people know her as one of America's most infamous female killers. But before the violence, before the courtroom, there was a deeply troubled young woman, shaped by a lifetime of abandonment and hardship. Here are 10 disturbing facts about Aileen Wuornos that reveal how her story became one of the darkest in true crime history. Aileen Wuornos was born in Michigan in 1956 to parents who were far too young and unprepared to raise her. Her father spent most of his life in prison, and her mother left when Aileen was still a toddler. That left her and her brother in the care of their grandparents, a household filled with instability and strict discipline. By the time she reached her early teens, Aileen was already struggling to survive. She dropped out of school and began living on the margins of society, spending nights in the woods near her hometown. People who knew her described her as intelligent but volatile, a person constantly torn between wanting love and expecting cruelty. A major turning point came when her family completely cut ties with her. Alone and rejected, she began drifting from place to place, hitchhiking across the country. She relied on strangers for money, food, and shelter, slowly developing a deep mistrust toward people, especially men. These early experiences shaped her view of the world as a hostile place where she had to fight for every scrap of safety. By the time she reached adulthood, her life had already been a cycle of survival and rejection, and it would only get darker from there. Aileen Wuornos' killing spree began in late 1989, but some still argue that her first murder may not have been as straightforward as it seemed. Her first victim, Richard Mallory, was a man she claimed had picked her up while she was hitchhiking. Aileen later said that she was attacked and fought back in self-defense. Police, however, didn't believe her story, especially when more bodies began to surface. For years, most people assumed her claim was just an excuse.
But later, a disturbing truth came to light. Richard Mallory had a criminal record, including a past conviction related to violent offenses. This revelation forced many to reconsider Aileen's version of events.
It's impossible to know what truly happened that night. But this one fact, that her first known victim had a violent history, blurred the line between victim and aggressor. It's what makes her story so complex. Was this the moment she snapped from fear, or was it the beginning of something much darker? In her final years, Aileen Wuornos gave several interviews, and what stood out most was her tone. She spoke about the murders without emotion, often shifting between calmness and anger within seconds.
Because I was no professional serial killer or anything, or murderer, or whatever you want to call it, It wasn't professional at what I was doing.
Aileen,
I did some sloppy work, and I left.
How have you prepared yourself for tomorrow morning?
I'm all right with it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Hey, I was tortured at BCI.
Viewers were unsettled by how disconnected she seemed, describing her actions as if they were just part of a job she once had. When asked if she felt regret, she didn't hesitate before saying she didn't, that she had done what she had to do. Her words, cold and flat, revealed a person who had long since stopped seeing the world the way most people do. Watching those interviews today still sends chills down the spine, not because she shouts, but because of how eerily calm she is when she doesn't. By the time Aileen Wuornos was caught, years of instability had already taken a heavy toll on her mind. She had been drifting across states for decades, often living in motels, cars, or the streets. Those who met her described her as unpredictable, friendly one moment, furious the next. After her arrest, psychiatrists diagnosed her with several serious mental health disorders. They noted symptoms of paranoia, emotional volatility, and a constant feeling that she was being hunted or betrayed. But her decline didn't start in prison. It had been building her entire life. The years of loneliness, rejection, and violence had shaped how she saw the world. By the late 1980s, she was no longer capable of separating danger from safety. Every person she met could be seen as a threat. Her mental breakdown wasn't sudden. It was a slow descent, one that began long before the crimes ever made headlines. Throughout her turbulent life, Aileen Wuornos had very few people she truly trusted, but one of them was Tyria Moore, a woman she met while living in Florida. For a brief time, Aileen seemed genuinely happy. The two shared a small apartment, dreamed about starting over, and depended on each other completely. But when the murders came to light, that bond became her undoing. Investigators found Tyria and offered her a deal, immunity, in exchange for her cooperation. Under police direction, Tyria called Aileen from another state, urging her to confess. Believing she was protecting the only person she'd ever loved, Aileen admitted to the killings. When she later learned the truth, that Tyria had been working with the police, it broke something inside her.
Did you say what she would do with that gun if anyone messed with her?
I don't remember. I believe that I needed her to say more.
In court, she said she didn't blame Tyria, but those close to her noticed the change. From that moment on, Aileen seemed colder, emptier, as if that betrayal confirmed what she had always believed, that love never lasted and trust was just another trap. After Aileen Wuornos' arrest, her case became a media sensation. Reporters, filmmakers, and writers all wanted her story, and soon, so did the people involved in investigating it. It later emerged that several officers had negotiated rights to her story before the trial was even over. There were allegations that movie and book deals were discussed while she was still awaiting sentencing. Critics argued this could have influenced how the case was handled and how she was portrayed publicly. Even Aileen herself spoke out about it, saying she felt used, that everyone around her was trying to make money off her life and crimes. Whether those claims were fully true or exaggerated, one thing is certain. The lines between justice, fame, and profit became disturbingly blurred. Her story wasn't just a tragedy, it became an industry.
Out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman got executed.
During her trial, Aileen Wuornos' behavior was unlike anything the courtroom had ever seen. At first, she appeared calm and detached.
I have made peace with my Lord, and I have asked forgiveness. I am sorry that my acts of self-defense ended up in court like this, but I take full responsibility for my actions.
But that calm never lasted long. When testimony turned against her, she would suddenly erupt in anger, shouting at the judge, the jurors, and even her own lawyers.
I sentence you to death for the murder of David Spears.
Thank you. And probably see, I'll be up in heaven while y'all are rotting in hell.
For these proceedings are now
Putting
concluded.
somebody who was raped to death?
She accused the court of corruption and claimed that everyone was lying about her. At one point, she yelled that she hoped the entire courtroom would suffer for what they were doing. The media captured every moment, turning her trial into a public spectacle. These explosive outbursts made it almost impossible for people to see her as anything other than dangerous. In her final years, Aileen Wuornos became increasingly paranoid. During prison interviews, she often claimed that she was being monitored and manipulated by unseen forces. She said the government was trying to break her mind. Her statements were disjointed, jumping from calm explanations to sudden anger. Some believed she was faking these episodes, but others, including mental health experts, said she was showing clear signs of delusional thinking.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets, and then we'll pull her in.
But how
That's
come there
why.
was so-
Oh, whether the cops are following me or not, Aileen,
okay,
what?
I
I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. Yeah, I was tortured at BCI. They had they had the intercom on in the room, and they kept lying that it wasn't on, and they were using sonic pressure on my head since 1997.
Sonic
And every
pressure.
time I was trying to write something, I think they had some kind of eye in the cell, I'm not sure, but every time I started writing something, it went up higher. So I'm thinking that probably had the TV rigged. The TV or the mirror, something was rigged. They got a huge satellite on the compound. After they put the huge satellite on the compound, it could have been either rigged to the TV set or the mirror or something, because the electrician, when he put the mirror on the wall, he said, "Doesn't that look like a computer?" The back of it, and he stuck it to the wall.
And do you think, what, did that affect your mind, do you think?
Huh?
Did that affect your mind in some way, the sonic?
It was crushing my head, and they were using sonic pressure.
Whether those fears were real or imagined, they revealed just how far she had drifted from reality. Aileen no longer trusted anyone, not even the people assigned to protect or help her. By the time she approached execution, her mind was a world of shadows, conspiracies, and invisible enemies. On the morning of her execution in 2002, Aileen Wuornos faced the cameras one last time. She didn't cry, and she didn't apologize. Instead, she spoke calmly, almost cheerfully, about returning to Earth and meeting a higher power. Her final words were strange, cryptic, and unforgettable. She said she would be back someday, referencing a popular movie before saying goodbye with a smile. To this day, people still debate what she meant, whether it was sarcasm, delusion, or a final attempt to control the narrative of her own story. That final sentence cemented her image as one of the most chilling figures in true crime, a woman who met her end with the same eerie detachment that defined her life. In 2003, just a year after her execution, Hollywood turned Aileen Wuornos' life into a film. Monsters starring Charlize Theron told her story not just as a crime tale, but as a psychological tragedy, showing how a lifetime of pain and neglect could twist someone beyond recognition. Theron's performance was so raw and unsettling that she won an Academy Award for it, but the movie also reignited debate about who Aileen really was. Some saw her as a monster who chose violence. Others saw a damaged woman shaped by years of trauma, fighting against a world that had already destroyed her. The film ensured that Aileen Wuornos would never be forgotten, but it also blurred the line between horror and heartbreak, leaving audiences to wonder whether evil is born or made.
7 people in 1
Oh,
year.
well. Oh, well.
Decades later, Aileen Wuornos' story still divides people. Was she born evil, or created by a lifetime of cruelty and neglect? The Netflix documentary forces us to look beyond the headlines and confront the uncomfortable truth that monsters aren't always born. Sometimes they're made, and in the end it leaves us with one haunting question. Who was the real victim?